I'm showing his product here, so.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you.
Enrique is going to start with a performance or something like
I
that.
think so. He's going to outperform Florin now.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it will happen.
Saludos from Mexico. How are you guys?
Enrique's muted.
Enrique, we can't hear you.
No? I am muted.
We can
unmute.
Something's happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, is there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you. How are you guys? Greetings from Mexico. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you guys. Thank you so much. So let's close the day with a bang. I manage a new presentation. This is like consecutive of all the work I've been developed during the last 10 years. So now it's the proper time to present it to you guys in proper manner. So this is my presentation for today is a transmedia presentation from page to experience. The idea is to expand the epistolary novel through faithfully transmedia strategies. First of all, you need to understand that I'm above all, I'm a graphic designer. No, my background is mostly in entertainment. I have designed toys and licensed toys all in my career. I designed a very popular promotion in Mexico and all Latin America, which is called Tazos, working with major brands like Pokemon, like Madagascar, designing toys for them, and designer for Yu-Gi-Oh! and the Muppets and Star Wars and whatever. So this is basically my background. So this presentation is a presentation about design, okay? And why design matters? Because as this famous quote says, one look is worth 1,000 words. It's an advertisement. It's from an advertisement in the 20s. So it's very justified the origin of the phrase. So, but above all, we need to understand that graphic design is not only a decorative artwork or whatever. We need to understand that even words are symbols. Letters are symbols. When we write, we draw a symbol for an A, for a B, or whatever. No, and in a way we are graphic designers, no, because we use symbols, no, to communicate. So graphic design is a little more complex than that, but it use the very strategies. So to understand the root of this thesis that I'm presenting today, we need to understand that words are symbols. I manage this example. No, let's talk about hope, which is very needed in this moment throughout the world. When we talk about hope, anyone in the room has an idea of hope because of the word hope. But if we implement graphic design in the word hope, we can begin to express in a very orderly way whatever we want to communicate, because visual communication is very to the point. We can feel hope with a graphic design. We can feel joy. We can feel liberty with only with the same word, but with a twist in the graphic design. Or we have these dramatic examples that we can change perception of a word because of graphic design. So this design is very important in most in our culture, because nowadays in none other time in human history, visual culture is above all. So, talking about a word, no, it's important to understand that words belongs into the realm of graphic design. We like it or not, words are symbols, and that is why design matters. Okay, that is first of all, that is to make a point of this presentation. Because through design, perception can be altered. That is very important to have in mind through this presentation. Because of design, we can alter perception. So design matters. Okay. Entering now the topic that I'm bringing to the table, design is not only decoration. For me, as a graphic designer that I am, it's a tool for analysis, to give a structure and interpretation, above all, interpretation. So practice-based research, as I do, I am a graphic designer, so I use design to do research. So that is what I call a practice-based research, okay? My practice-based research use design to test these hypotheses that I bring to the table, to expose the gaps, no, and reveal implicit assumptions because of the dominant representations. We need to understand. We have several talks in this Congress talking about branding and imaging and how the image of the cult evolves. This is the territory of this issue. So for me, design is a method of restoration, not for invention. Restoration, not invention. Okay. So as we see yesterday with the magnificent presentation of Sorin, branding has reshaped Dracula. No, most people has the picture in their minds, the mediatic Dracula, the classic Dracula, and not the original character. No, this Dracula, the Bela Lugosi character, the classic Dracula, has been replaced in a big time the old man that has been described in the novel. So I run just for fun a little questionnaire over Facebook, or all our groups that we belong, mostly roughly like 200 people voluntary answer that question, and the results are very obvious. No, the winner is this, no, Bela Lugosi, 40%. When people heard the word Dracula, Bela Lugosi is the one who appeared in most of the 40% of the people in their minds. Then it follows Blood Impaler. No, mostly this portrait, this German portrait, I believe it is, with 36%. Then Gary Oldman, in some way it was very important, mostly to my generation in the 92s. And the last one, it's Dracula by Bram Stoker. The portrait closely resembles to the description in the novel. So visual, we can extrapolate with that visual culture replaces textual memory, no? And in our culture, definitely image is very important. So posters, logo, covers, no, all kinds of covers, comic book covers, book covers, or whatever, and costumes and toys and whatever, have become dominant references, no, mostly for Dracula. No, if we analyze these two randomly picked editions of Dracula, one's for a modern library, which only has text No, and the other one is from I believe 1947. No, who depicts an illustration of Bela Lugosi. Most people will buy. No, if they have the choose to buy, whatever both of them. Most people will buy the illustrated one. No, because it's how marketing works. It's how branding works. No, that's why we have Chister Cheetos selling Cheetos to the children. Because it's images. It's likely to sell. So most of the covers try to use images, no, to represent Dracula, no, to try to sell more books. That's a marketing issue, no. And that is important because when people go to the library, no, and they ask for a Dracula book, and they have to choose between these two, and they pick the one that represents Bela Lugosi. For them, Bela Lugosi is Dracula, and all the work that Bram Stoker did, meticulously did, creating his character is gone through the window. No? So the design for me exposes distortion. No, by graphic analysis, we can reveal how adaptations have betrayed Stoker structure and tone. No, this is very important because, as I told you, this movie was very important in the representations of Dracula because it was a complete turning point that contrasts with the stereotype that Bela Lugosi and Christopher Lee had created. No, so Francis Ford Coppola has a new proposal. No, even with his graphics. No, and one of the the promotional posters that was released in those days. No, and the tagline is very important because it says "Love never dies." No, and it's very clear. No, "Love never dies" is the main the main text of the poster, just upside the word Dracula by Bram Stoker. No, so people what reads is "Love never dies" and Bram Stoker's Dracula. No, and that means that perception is altered because "Love never dies" suddenly becomes Bram Stoker's Dracula is about love. No, in most of the public perception, Bram Stoker's Dracula is about love, which Bram Stoker didn't wrote anything about love. The only loving memory is the marriage of Jonathan Harker and Mina. And it's very sudden moment. It's not a very romantic, no. It's not about love, Dracula, but it was very impactful because it has merchandising. No, I was in love with this film when it was released in the '92. I was I had like 18 years or whatever. No, so I was very in this teen spirit. No, and it was very rebellious because I was a fan of Dracula, the novel, since 12 years or whatever, since I was a kid. So to have a movie about my favorite novel was awesome. So when I went to the movies, I was half of me was very excited because in a way it was depicted as the novel did, but in a way it was very disappointed because it was a romantic movie, and but the visuals were very important because this picture was accompanied with a lot of merchandise. and a lot of merchandise that reads "Love Never Dies." No, and this image is very epic. We have Blood Impaler, and Mina Harker in a very ecclesiastic way to be depicted. So for most people, most of my age who only saw the novel, so Bram Stoker's Dracula is an epic tale of love, and that has spawned another horrible reinterpretation like this one in this year, which is like the retail of the retail of the retail. It's like in Mexico we have a party game which is called telephone, that you say something in secret to someone, and he repeat it to the other one, and the fifth repetition it completely changed the story. That is what is happening with Dracula. No, you can see this poster which has in the main area a very young, a very attractive couple, being in love, and then you read Bram Stoker's Dracula, and you have Bram Stoker's Dracula in your head. So Bram Stoker definitely would be ashamed of whatever is happening with his tale now these days. No, because this is what Stoker never wrote about this. So in a way, for me, graphic design helps rebuild the novel epistolary structure to recover the original narrative coherence. That is very important because, first of all, Dracula is a narrative, an epistolary novel, no? So one of the first things I did when I began this project 10 years ago was to recreate all the documents from the novel. No, if it was mentioned a photograph, I represented the photograph. The newspapers, all the notes, all the telegrams. I had to materialize the novel, because in a way that's why I like the most of the novel, because in a way it's like a thing that actually happened, because you can trace all the dates to 1893, and it matches, no? And what it's a wonder of this is that Stoker wrote about real places in real time. So in a way, to read the novel is to have a window to an actual place that happened, no, in a very fictional way, but happened in real time. So I needed to visualize all the documents first of all, because graphic design helps to reclaim Dracula by Bram Stoker identity from the cultural misappropriation that has been suffered since its publication. As we all know, nowadays Dracula is in a public domain, is an proper intellectual property for everyone, no, which means branding in a way, definitely. So the idea is to recover Dracula by Bram Stoker, no, in all his glory, even his visuals, no, even the typography of the first edition, because that's what started it all, no. So graphic design as a research tool that reveals how Dracula has changed and how to restore him, no. For me, graphic design has been a very powerful tool to analyze how Dracula has changed and how it has to be restored, no, through a very faithful analysis of the text. And this point is very important for me. Ethical rebranding can correct the dominant myth and return fidelity to Stoker's text. I will talk later about ethical rebranding, no, in a way, but it's very important for me to talk about ethics in this way. So the idea is to uh, turn this idea, so main idea that is in the main culture, no, and go back to the original, no, through all the documents and stuff. So let's present the project. Um, I took, of course, that the 18 novel feature a epistolary novel, as I told you, no, with temporary precision. That is very important, no. It is placed in 1883, and even if it's not in the text, all the dates matches with the 1893, 93, as Elizabeth Miller remarked, and you can check the nowadays with a Google Calendar, and it matches perfectly well. I believe only two dates are in dispute, but only two dates of all the novel. It's mostly nothing. So. The novel, it's very important, anticipates the transmedia storytelling, nowadays very popular, no, because nowadays we don't only have traditional media, we have most of us have TikTok and have YouTube and have I don't know, a Facebook uh, page or whatever. So we are using different displays and different medias, no, and that is important. Why I am using transmedia, and all of this draws on the studies on Henry Jenkins and Moriarty, Ryan, and Carlos Escolari, no, from Argentina. So let's go to the project. It builds on the idea that the fragmentation of the intellectual property has been diluted, no, because of the cinematic adaptations like the Murnau, like the Universal Hammer or whatever, nor more recently Eggers and Besson, no, all of them have created an incoherent visual and thematic canon, no. As we can see, no, these are reinterpretations of Dracula, no, and most of them had created, no, a different canon that original describing the novel. So the visual representation in and public remaining status had led to a narrative disintegration of the tale. This is very important, no? The moment Bela Lugosi became very successful in the Dracula movie of the 31, no, it became a national phenomenon, no, and obviously the industry of the publishing, no, wanted a piece of the cake. So they managed to use the same poster, no, that was released in as the movie, no, to be the front cover, or this was like I lost the number of the name of the cover of the paper cover who was made with for selling books, no. So as you can see, they use the same image of the movie poster in the book, no. This was very intentional in order to sell more books, of course, no. In on the inside, no, of this edition, I believe it is I believe it's the 28th. No, this is a universal picture, so it must be an edition after the movie. So it was accompanied the text with movie frames. So that is very important because that changed the perception, and it was normalized to publicate books with the image of this created Dracula that doesn't resemble the one in the novel. In that moment, Bela Lugosi became the icon, no, and with the IP entering the public domain, it has been this is like the telephone game I told you about. Is the same tell but retold, and it created a very well defined character all over the world that doesn't resemble the original one. No, so in this moment we can establish that the count has a cultural visibility but no curatorial stewardship. What I mean with this is Dracula. In For most of people all over the world, this is Dracula. No, but it's a mixture of tropes all over the world, because it has a lot of Bela Lugosi, but it has the color of the cape of Christopher Lee, but it has the sexuality of the Hammer movies, but it has it's like a lot of tropes in this image. But this image, this graphic design of Count Dracula is the commonplace for most of people who talk about or which thought in Dracula. So I use design as a methodology, no, not for decoration. This is very important. I am not a decorator. No, I use graphic design as a tool. So my hypothesis for this project I'm presenting today is the textual fidelity. This is very important for me. Textual fidelity. No, Dracula has been reinvented thousands of times, but no one has gone to the original. So textual fidelity is the thing. Textual fidelity and systemized design, no, can restore coherence and visual identity, the narrative architecture, and product logic derived for close reading the Stoker novel. So, of course, to do this design interpretation that I'm bringing to the table, no, I went for the original. I have read this book, the original one, the Stoker one, most like 30 times in my life. No, I read it like 3 times in a year. No, so I'm very aware of the changes that suffer, as Professor Gordon has stated all in his work. No, there are different minor, no, if you want, changes even in the first editions in the United States that has 2 different way to read Dracula. No, one is in England, which has the original text, no, and the one has that went to the United States that has been rewritten that has been suffered a lot of changes. So the idea was to go to the original one, no, and to take that as base of the project. Of course, as a graphic designer, I had to investigate in profound way the life of Bram Stoker, his work, his life, no, his relations, his way of work, no, because Dracula, in more than a way, is the reflection of what he has done all in the 30 years working with Henry Irving. So he was very keen with the telegraph. He was very keen with the train schedules. He was very keen because he was in charge of the tours. He was in charge of everything. So in a way, Dracula is a reflection of his life. So you had to study that in order to represent in a very truthful way, no, the Bram Stoker's work. So you need what I did was to investigate not only the text but the images, because graphic design, no, of all the places that he has in mind, like the creation of his castle, no, his castle, the outside of the castle we can establish is the Bram Castle, no, Bram Castle, because it was depicted in Emile Gerard book, but the inside of the castle is Lane Castle in Scotland. No, it's very obvious the octagonal room and whatever. No, you had to go there. I haven't had the privilege to be in Whitby as Magda did last weekend, but I went to Transylvania a couple of times. No, one of them with Dacre Stoker. No, in order to investigate the places and the vibe. You know, that is very important for a design, to investigate the vibe. No, I went obviously to through all the Stoker notes, no, all the work of Edward Petit and what the museum is, it has been done with the notes. No, it's very important because that is the root of the tale. So having that in mind, I can begin to design, no, to recreate. The first of all was, of course, the image of Count Dracula, no, because Count Dracula, the image, as I have already established, has been modified several times. So first of all, I had to create the Count Dracula that I imagined when I wrote. When I read Dracula. But why rebrand Dracula? And why now? First of all, because cultural misrepresentation. The original 1897 novel has been eclipsed, totally eclipsed, by 100 years of distortion, philanthropes, memes, and misreadings. Why Dracula now? Because brand erosion. Dracula's visual identity has been diluted by unlicensed uses, inconsistent designs, and popular reinterpretations. Why rebrand Dracula, and why now? Because there is a scholarly gap. There are, in my understanding, there are no academic efforts to reconstruct the novel's narrative logic through visual media or product ecosystems. Why rebrand Dracula now? Because ethical reclamation. This is very important. Ethical. Public domain IP, like Dracula, deserves a rigorous restorative stewardship, not an exploitative recycling. That I want to be very clear with that point. Okay, why rebrand Dracula now, and why now? Because it's not about making a new Dracula. It's about recovering the true one. So I present this design as critique that says that branding, layout, and product system are used to analyze, restore, and preserve and misinterpretive literary object. So I want to present you Dracula Legacy as a working process, but it's a case study. Okay? Dracula Legacy nowadays has like 10 years. It's a work in progress, 10 years work in progress that has a huge ecosystem. It's not only an idea, it's a real ecosystem. First of all, provides a cohesive, author-driven, system of scholarly transmedia assets. That is very important. I want to root this in academia. So what I did with Dracula Legacy is a consistent brand and visual identity, a unified graphic system, graphic in the 1897 novel, and copyrighted for public legitimacy and narrative coherence. This is important. What I have developed, it's all over the place. It's in my webpage, but it's repeated in Facebook, but it repeats itself on Etsy, but it repeats in Instagram, on YouTube. All my channels have the same graphic design elements, which is repetition. No, branding use repetition, no, to establish the same idea in the perception of the people. So the Dracula legacy ecosystem nowadays has critical editions, no, mostly in English and Spanish. I would like to produce in several more languages, in collaboration with Yuri in Portuguese, or with Magda in Polish, no, to faithfully restore the epistolary format with paratextual curation and typographic fidelity. These are tools of the graphic designs. At this moment, these are the 3 editions I have released under this Dracula legacy scheme. The first one is a restoration of the original novel. That is very important because I haven't had the privilege of read the original Stoker. No, it was a long time myth for me, because the cheapest copy you can find in on eBay is like $15,000. You know, the original one. So it was impossible me for read the one. So I really wanted to read the original. No, and this edition restored the original in more than a way. The second one is my translation to Spanish, which I'm very proud to be the last human translation, because nowadays you can translate whatever you want in AI. It took me 7 years to translate it, and it's very close and very relatable. Very, even I can say it's kind of regrettable with fidelity to the Stoker original, because it doesn't translate as well as I would like, but it's very, very clear. No, and the third one is what I imagine when I read Dracula, because these are the I recreate all the transcriptions of Mina Harker. No, I use the two typewriters she used in the novel, no, to recreate each and one of the entries of the novel, and bring it in the same size, in the same texture, in the same. I recreated very faithfully in the methods that Mina would have used, in order to break the fourth wall and have those documents in my hand. No, those are the 3 editions that I had. The first one, as I told you about, I managed to knew a person in Mexico who had the first edition of the Dracula. That was the first time I had access to it, and he allowed me to took photographs and restore it, no, in full frame. So what I did is restore the original. I don't create anything. I really restored the original. The pages, each of one of them was restored, and I put it the texture of the old paper. No, so when you read it, you feel it that you are reading an old paper. That is what I can put as a designer. That was the old paper texture. No, in order you to have the experience of having the original one. So my translation in Spanish, it's called the Black Book of Dracula. It's black because it's very rooted in the text, no, in the devil part of Dracula, no, and the pacts he made with the devil, studying in the Skullman. So this is why this edition is completely black. And as I told you, the last one is the recreation of all the transcripts of Mina Harker. I did a research of the typography used in the time of 1893 in the UK, who managed to reduce all the possibilities. No, so I kept a lot of readings of this matter. There are a couple of scholars that have studied this issue, no, and you can find it on academia. It's very precise, no. So I managed to acquire the same typography to recreate exactly the same way Mina have translated all these documents. Even the color of the typography is bluish because these are copies. These are not the original, as it's stated in the text. No, the only copy survives. So you have one of these copies in your hands. That was the intention, to break the fourth wall. So the second stage was to have the character design. That is very important, no. So I designed all of the characters, major and minor, no, because those are important. But paratextual elements are very important in the novel. So I not only designed the look and feel of the counts. I went for the full character, no, trying to be very faithful to Stoker recreation, no? What he talks and the spirit he wants to bring to the table. I try to recreate it with the character design. But I have created all the characters in the novel, of course, no. And they are coming to life little by little. Even what I like the most is the little crying boy, which you can see in the corner, no, which is of course one of the Lucy's victims, no. Even those are important to the text. So I have made interactive experiences of all them, because all my books have augmented reality. All my designs have augmented reality, groundly based in the novel, no. So for example, this is a poster that invites you to read Dracula by Bram Stoker, no. It's very clear, Dracula by Bram Stoker. And when you put your phone, no, the poster became alive, no. That is important because that's the way I imagine the paranormal in Bram Stoker. So I developed a lot of products, but there are no products to only to put the brand of Dracula on it. They have become what I like to call narrative objects, because the interaction you can have with the augmented reality, when you scan this packaging, no, it brings you to animation of the novel. So in a way, you are drinking a coffee and you are related to the text of the novel. That is very important for me, and to have different packaging to talk about all the time. So products are semiotically validated and sourced from a specific textual reference. I use the main text of Dracula to do this. All of the objects function, this is important, very important, as interpretative annotations. They are not only decor, no. Magda has a T-shirt right now, no. But if she use her cell phone in her T-shirt, the T-shirt will become alive. So this is not only to have the branding in a T-shirt. It's to immerse yourself in the tale, because what you have in here, the experience you have here, it's closely related to the text in the novel. So all artifacts carry scholarly labels and production notes. That is very important, no, to establish, no, the link between the product and the text. No, this is not only an idea. It is groundly based in the text. So all the products has augmented reality. All the products has this idea of bringing the text alive. No, this brings me to interactive experiences. Nowadays, people can join to experience that. I deliver in real time the novel in their emails. No, so what happened in the 3rd of May? I'll send the documents on the 3rd of May. On the 3rd of May, that is important, and I follow a real time narrative through all the year from May to November. No, that is an experience that I can bring. This is what I call material artifacts, who are composed of objects described in the novel, no, and that are very close with the brand, like candles, lithophanes, stationery, and paraphernalia, and even board games has been developed. So, as you can see, these are candles that bleed, no, and I have developed lithophanes, which are developed in the Victorian era, no, which makes sense with the novel, no, which are collectibles that you can put to the light, and images appear in the reflection. So there is a board game closely inspired in the escape of Jonathan Harker of the Castle. No, the Castle ground board is based on the of the descriptions of the investigation of Bram Stoker in his Lane Castle or whatever, and it's very close to the narrative of the novel. You are Jonathan Harker, and you need to escape from Castle Dracula. No, an action figure has been developed and already released, and I'm developed the next one. I'm developing all the line of the characters, no, to have this paratextual, no, because all the characters will be made in order to have this correspondence with the novel. So as you can see, there is a lot of items right now. This is very important. I have transparent documentation. I have been documenting this from 10 years over Facebook. No, my Facebook page it's the complete visual register of the whole project. It began in 2017. No, it was called Dracula's Place in that time. No, but it's very public, very all the process is there. No, is very ethical. No, disclosed. No, and it's open for the public to be consulting. No, this was the original page. No, if you can see the original, I draw a logo which was very resembled of the original one. No, but then I took the one, and I did what I was telling you. No, in Facebook I published the piece of the novel that corresponds to the day. No, in this case, I don't know the date of this. Of course, is the publication of the Daily Graph. No, who announcing the entry of the Demeter. No, that was published on Facebook on that day with the images. No, and that is very public. No, you can check it out. No, and it's I like it. To see it because it's an evolution of a project. Even Baker Stoker was aware of that and interacted with it in a moment. So this is not only merchandise. This is transmedia scholarship. No, this is very important because toward a scholarship method for transmedia remediation, no, Dracula Legacy has demonstrated now that design research, literary fidelity, and ethical production can reshape public domain IPs. Then it encourages institutions to adopt similar curatorial strategies, and it's a cultural revitalization through design. It is not reinvention. No, I want to be very clear about the ethical thing about this, because as it is a public domain IP, no, Dior this year released this tote bag, which is mostly they steal the idea from me. I can not prove them, but the only thing I can say very loudly is if their designer wasn't aware of mine design, what was are very public, is a very bad designer, because what you need to do whenever you need to start designing is to start researching, no? And this tote bag was designed like 2 years ahead of Dior, but Dior obviously is Dior, and obviously they have money, and obviously they have branding strategy, and it was a knockout, no? This tote bag was a knockout. It was all over the place because they gave them to the what they are called the It Girls, no? Brianne and several celebrities were photographed by paparazzis with them, no? And everyone were not, but it was empty because they didn't elaborate on Stoker. They only use it as a feature to sell more Dior baggages, but they didn't talk about the novel. I read a lot of the intention of the designer, and it was very empty. No, it was very branding related and not literary related. No, and that is important to bring it to the table. So to close, I really prefer to have Bram as a model, no, than all of the It Girls, and that's it. I thank you.
Thank you, Enrique, for the presentation. It was very interesting. We are very behind schedule, but I think we can do some questions now. I have one of my own, if I can just start with real quick, because your presentation reminded me something that the academic field of transmedia often forgets, as I'm also researching transmedia in my PhD right now, that transmedia is really about branding. It's really about creating engaged fans. And we have a saying here in Brazil called vestir a camisa, or wearing the shirt, which literally means someone who will defend your product and will be very much of a big fan about it. And in the case of your product, there's literally a shirt, which I thought was very interesting. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much for saying that. No, I completely agree. Transmedia nowadays we need to start talk about branding in academics, because it's a thing. As I told you, if a publisher, even if they want to sell a book, the novel of Bram Stoker, they use images, no, to start selling, no, more books so it's branding, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique. Let's go on with Mason. Rich Mason.
All right. So first off, Enrique, that was a really, really good presentation. So I knew it would be. I've seen what you've done. Makes me think I should probably pick up one of the books I've been planning to buy for a while. So based on that, it's made me kind of want a copy of Dracula, which is almost like a folio, almost like your idea with Mina's the writings of Mina Harker, but more like one where you've actually got copies of all the notes and the stubs and the ticket stubs, everything. So like what you've done, but in physical form, that would be amazing. But on the basis that I agree with you, this is me playing devil's advocate. You started off by saying that words are a form of graphic design, and conversely, that means that design is a form of language. So on the basis that language is constantly evolving and you are constantly getting updated versions of like the Merriam-Webster dictionary or the Oxford English Dictionary, and you can have remakes of films and remakes of video games, there's often an argument that where people go, why are you remaking it? It's replacing the original. And people come back with, well, you've always got the original. So on the basis that you've still got the original, is it not okay for the language of Dracula to evolve into what it is currently now on the basis that everyone thinks of things and uses words differently, therefore everyone thinks of branding differently as the world goes on?
Definitely, and that is a great question. Definitely, Dracula needs to evolve. And that is why it has been on print for 128 years, no? Because it remains evolving. This year we have Luc Besson reinterpretation of Dracula, and he framed it as Bram Stoker's Dracula. For the new generation, that is Dracula. And that is important because they are in love with that picture. I really hate it. I saw that like 10 minutes of the film. I really hate it, and I quit it. You know, but then that is not my Dracula. That is the Dracula for the new generation who are in love and whatever, no? And that is important because that is the entrance door, no, for later go to do what I like to call this is a term.
So what you're saying is new Dracula is a gateway drug for old Dracula.
For all Draculas, yeah, in a way, yeah, and that is important, you know. All Draculas, Dracula need to evolve because it is not only a text; it is a cultural thing. No, in Mexico we have wonderful Draculas that you won't believe. We have a picture of Dracula eating tacos with one of the worst comic in the history of cinema. But it's a great Dracula. It's Dracula in the Mexican way, which is not relatable with the Dracula in Transylvania, in Romania, you know. So Dracula
So
needs
you're saying they didn't attack us in Transylvania.
definitely needs to evolve. But on the other hand, no, as the original one didn't have the same tools of the modern times. That is why I bring the same tools, the visual tools to reestablish the text. So in a way, I'm doing archaeological literally, or literacy archaeological, whatever you want to call it.
I like it, Enrique. So you're the Indiana Jones of Dracula.
I like to think of myself in a way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Paulina, please.
Hi. First, I have to say, big fan of the Tazos. Obviously, I play with them all throughout my life. I have sort of two questions, and the first one is, as you are probably aware, one of the criticisms or one of the points that has been heavily debated regarding Dracula until this time has been the degree to which the description of Dracula is anti-Semitic, especially the description of the nose, its relation to blood libels and to this kind of like rituals that Jews were thought to take part in at the time. I was wondering if you think sort of the new characterizations of Dracula are trying to kind of repair or to correct some of these references to these stereotypes. We see the extreme of it with Murnau's Nosferatu, which is very much a Jewish person as depicted or as described at the time. So I that's my first question. If you think that in a, if stressing the accuracy of Dracula's fiction will be in some way perpetuating these stereotypes. And of course, this is something that's debated whether Stoker intended it like that or not.
Yeah.
And my second question will be about the restoration, as you mentioned, of these peripheral characters, which are Dracula's brides, which you also kind of restored in these images that you have on your social media. I will say, and you are allowed to not take this. Are you as exact when it comes to these characters as you are with Dracula? Because I see that they are dressed obviously very
sexual,
provocatively, and
yeah,
we know from the novel. We know from the novel that they are sexual, but what we perceive as sexual was probably not what the Victorians perceive as sexual, and much less what the Romanians perceive as sexual. So do you think you won't go further into perhaps adding some historically accurate undergarments to them? But yeah, that would be my two questions.
Definitely. Those are both great questions, and I thank you for both of them. Let's go with the first one. I really believe stressing the image of Count Dracula has been came to the party to Robert Eggers. Robert Eggers is for me it's the best representation of Count Dracula in the movies, as Bram Stoker described him. When I was watching the Eggers representation, he presented in the shadows as I obviously imagine him. But he started appearing, and when I see him with a mustache, I couldn't believe I wasn't seeing Dracula instead of Nosferatu, because in a way, for me, Nosferatu is a misinterpretation. For me, Nosferatu is inspiring Dracula, definitely, but it do not try to be Dracula. It's like no a matchup of Dracula. It's a complete new narrative, with some interpretation of Stoker. But what I got with this is in the 70s, when the copyrights were released, the version of the 70s of Nosferatu was the first one to change the names of the characters. Intentionally, Count Orlok was named Count Dracula, and that established firmly the relations between Nosferatu and Count Dracula. But Robert Eggers went even further, because he didn't only take the name, but their physical representation. And I was in a great conflict about that, because I want to see Nosferatu, and I was given Dracula, and I really don't like it. I had to be honest. I love the Robert Eggers film, but I hate his Nosferatu. That's I hope respond the first one. And in the
so my first question was actually about the anti-Semitic stereotypes that we have in the original text. How do you reconcile that with this search for authenticity?
Precisely.
In your restoration
okay. Well, I'm not using Nosferatu as references. I'm going to the original one, so I'm not using that. So I use it is the physical depiction of the character based on historical characters. That's it. I'm using only image. I'm not trying to mingle with symbolism. That is important. I'm not giving the only symbolism I'm giving to the all rhetoric, visual rhetoric, is Satanism, because of the scholarship of the scholaments. No, all the graphics lead to the graphic design of the Satanism, but that is the only thing that it's very clear driven. And that brings me to your second question. Definitely one of the criticize I have received is the depiction of the women, the vampire women, because definitely the text, the sexual images of the vampires of Bram Stoker Dracula are very sexualized, very sexualized. The three of them are uber sexualized. The three sinister sisters and Lucy Westerna, and very uber sexualized. And definitely that is an issue that I'm exploring consciously to appeal the demographics of the brand. The brand is Generation X, and it's very explicit. It is not intended to new generations. I mean it can be controversial, but it is very well written. It is not intended for new, because an authorial thing, you know. It's very conscious.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
For your answer. Let's go with the last one, Sean.
Always a pleasure to see your work, Enrique, and to hear you talk. I just my question is, after having followed you and your work for like 6 or 8 years now, I was excited to see that you were getting into AI image generation. I'm wondering, 10 years from now, when AI has advanced that much further, are you going to, I know how single-minded you are to replicating the Book of Dracula, are you going to make a full-on AI-generated film, do you think, at some point of the novel?
Yes, that is the idea. That is why I started bringing all the characters first of all. No, that was very important in order to bring, because of the I mean the screenplay, you already have it.
Right.
No,
right.
it's by the book, literally by the book. So my job was to bring all the characters by the book, no, with representations. And yes, I am starting doing the animations for today is very limited, no, but
Yep.
this is growing exponentially. What I did 2 years ago, it seems like decades ago, no. Today with AI, it's very scary. I need to tell you, it's very scary, and that is why we can have two positions with AI. Or we completely deny it, which for me is completely absurd, because it's taking over very quickly all over the world, over the world, in a scary way. Or, this is my point, we need to embrace the idea, as long as they let us play. I want to be clear, as long as they let us play, because this is getting very scary. So you're telling about 10 years. I hope we are here in 10 years, but my goal is to have for a full emotion comic for next year or 2 years.
Wow. Okay. Well, break a leg with that. That's great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean.
so
Thank
much.
you, Enrique. We are approaching an hour after behind the schedule and about 10 hours of Congress. So I think it's time for you to wrap it up for the day. We will have a lot of things tomorrow. I think Rich might has something else he wants to say, but I need to ask you to do it privately with Enrique later. Okay?
Just follow up on what Sean said.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a nice one. See you tomorrow.
Thank you everyone. Another long day, but not as long as today. And today was a marathon. Thank you everyone, and see you tomorrow.
See you soon.
Guys.
Bye bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. See you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
See you guys tomorrow.
Is Yuri still alive?
Bye bye.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Recording stopped.
Bye, guys.
Oh no, he's here.
Ciao. It was a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice one. See you tomorrow. Bueno, pues ya lo presenté. Creo que me fue bien. Creo que me fue bien. No, pues sí. No, ahorita no me saco. Pues yo creo que lo hice bien, fíjate. Si me hayan visto tres pendejos, yo ya lo presenté. Y estaba Gordon Milton.